Good afternoon. We are meeting today to review the data overview for Ragsdale Elementary School. My name is Cassie Brown, and I will be leading you through this presentation today. The purpose of this presentation is to review the demographic data and changes at Ragsdale Elementary School over the past 3 years, review student achievement data on the Georgia milestones looking at the mathematics and ELA portions for grades 3rd through 5th, to compare our achievement data on the Georgia milestone with the district and state, to review average RI data for grades 3rd through 5th from the 2016-2017 school year, and to determine strengths and areas of improvement for our school. First, we are going to look at student enrollment for Ragsdale Elementary School. In the 2014-2015 school year, there were 747 students enrolled at Ragsdale. The 2015-2016 school year, there were only 713 students enrolled at Ragsdale. This past school year, there were 716 students enrolled at Ragsdale. As you can see, the number of students enrolled at Ragsdale has decreased over the past 3 years. Our student enrollment in terms of gender has switched. In the 2014-2015 school year, we had more female students than male, with having 385 female students and only 362 male students. In the 2015-2016 school year, we still had more females than males, with having 358 female students and only 355 male students. However, in the 2016-2017 school year, we had 370 males and only 346 females, showing that there were more males at our school than females. When comparing our student enrollment in regards to race and ethnicity with the district and state, you can see that we are similar to the district. The past school year, Ragsdale and district have predominantly white students enrolled, with Ragsdale having 73% of their students enrolled being white and 63% of the students enrolled in the district being white. The district has more black students enrolled in schools than our school, with 23% enrolled throughout the district and only 15% enrolled at Ragsdale. The percentage of students enrolled at the school and district that are Hispanic and multiracial are similar, with 7% of the students enrolled at Ragsdale being Hispanic and 9% of the students enrolled in the district being Hispanic. Also, both the district and the school have 5% of the students enrolled be multiracial. However, our enrollment by race is not similar to the state. In Ragsdale, there are more students enrolled that are white than black. However, in the state, the percentage of white and black students are the same at 40%. The state also has higher percentages of Hispanic students enrolled in the schools, with having 16% compared to Ragsdale's 7%. The percentage of multiracial students enrolled is similar in both the state and Ragsdale, with Ragsdale having 5% of the students enrolled be multiracial and the state having 4%. Next, we will review our student enrollment of economically disadvantaged students, or ED students. In the 2014-2015 school year, Ragsdale had 747 students enrolled, with 440 of those students being economically disadvantaged. The next year, we had 713 students enrolled, with 416 of those students being considered ED. This past school year at Ragsdale, we had 716 students enrolled, with 422 of those students being ED. Notice that each year, over half of the students enrolled at Ragsdale are identified as ED. In terms of the students identified and enrolled in each educational program, our school has remained pretty much the same over the past 3 years. This past school year, 80% of the students enrolled were regular education students. 17% were students with disabilities, 2% were gifted students, and 1% were ESOL students. On average, 80% of the students enrolled at our school are considered regular education students. Our number of students with disabilities has increased from 14% to 16% to then 17% this past school year, but our number of gifted students has decreased from 4% to 3% to landing with only 2% of our students being identified as gifted this year. And our number of ESOL students has remained the same at 1% over the past 3 years. Now, looking at our attendance data, we can see that the number of students who have missed 6 or more days of school over the past 3 years has decreased. In the 2014-2015 school year, 453 students missed 6 or more days. In the 2015-2016 school year, the number of students who missed 6 or more days of school decreased to 404. This past school year, the number once again decreased to only 400 students. The percentage of students has decreased from 61% to 57% to 56% of students missing 6 or more days. This means that the attendance initiative that we have going on right now at our school is working, because we are seeing a decrease in the percentage of students who have missed 6 or more days. Now, looking at mobility rate, our mobility rate compared to the district is pretty similar. In the 2014-2015 school year, the mobility rate for the district was 13.8, and at our school it was 18.8. In the 2015-2016 school year, the mobility rate was a 13.4 in the district, and at our school it was a 13.5. In the 2016-2017 school year, the mobility rate for the district was 13.3, and for the school it was a 16.5. When looking at our teacher data, you can see that we have more females than we do male teachers at our school. This past year, we had 49 female teachers and only 4 male teachers. If you look at the chart, you can see that this is the normal trend where we have about 50 female teachers and only a handful of male teachers. Looking at teachers by race and ethnicity, for the past school year, we had 48 teachers who were white, 2 teachers who were black, 1 teacher who was Hispanic, and 1 teacher who was multiracial. Once again, this is the same trend for the past 3 years where we have about 50 teachers who are white, and then a handful of teachers who are black, Hispanic, and multiracial. When looking at teachers based off of years of experience for the past year, we had 18 teachers who had 1 to 10 years of experience, 28 teachers who had 11 to 20 years of experience, and only 1 teacher who had more than 20 years of experience. This again is the trend that we see at our school, where we see the most of our teachers have 11 to 20 years of experience, but the teachers that have 1 to 10 years of experience are not far off. We are a younger school, and so you can see that because we have younger people at our school, we have less years of experience, and we don't really have anybody at our school who has more than 20 years of experience. Now we are moving on to looking at the Georgia Milestones achievement data for grades 3rd through 5th. We are looking at the number of students and the percentage of students who scored proficient or higher. Right now we are only looking at the math portion. In the 2014-2015 school year, 114 students, or 34% of students taking the test, scored proficient or higher on the Math Georgia Milestones. In the 2015-2016 school year, 123 students, or 35.9% of students taking the test, scored proficient or higher on the Math Georgia Milestones. This past school year, 111 students, or 33.5%, scored proficient or higher on the Math Georgia Milestones. The graphs, especially the percentage of students scoring proficient or higher graph, looks like there's a drastic difference between the past 3 years. However, there's only about a 2% difference, so the math portion of the Georgia Milestones is not a huge concern for us right now. When comparing our achievement data on the Math Georgia Milestones to the district and the state, you can see that our percentage of students who scored proficient or above is actually pretty similar to the district and the state. In this past school year, 33.5% of our students scored proficient or above on the Georgia Milestones, and 40% of the students in the district scored proficient or above. So that's only about a 6.5 difference. Compared to the state, where they scored 44.9% at or above proficient, where it's about 11% difference. The only part of this graph that's a little alarming is that if you look at the 2014-2014 school year, there's not as big of a gap between us in the district and us in the state as there is in the 2016-2017 school year. However, it's not a large gap, it's not a large difference, so it's not a very big area of concern for us. Now we're looking at the ELA portion of the Georgia Milestone. So in the 2014-2015 school year, 117 of our students, or 34.7% of our students, scored at proficient or higher. In the 2015-2016 school year, 116 students, or 33.9% of our students, scored at proficient or higher. And this past school year, only 84% of our students, or 25.2% of our students, scored at proficient or higher. So you can see a downwards negative trend that's happening in our ELA achievement data for the Georgia Milestones, and that is a little alarming that we went from 117 to 84 students, or 34.7% to 25.2% achieving proficient or higher. That means that 1/4 of our students is on grade level. That means 1/4 of our students is proficient or higher, and that's a little alarming for us. Now we are comparing our ELA Georgia Milestone achievement data to that of the district and the state. If you look at the 2016-2017 school year, you can see that there's a big gap between the percentage of students who scored at or above proficient for our school versus the district and the state. So at our school, 25.2% of our students were at or above proficient. So 1/4 of our students were at or above proficient. In the district, 39.4% of the students were at or above proficient, and 42.9% in the state were at or above proficient. If we're looking at the trends, we can notice that from the 2014-2015 school year to the 2016-2017 school year, the district and the state are both trending positively. They're both making an upward slope. However, our school is having a negative trend. That means that our percentage of students who are scoring at or above proficient are going down. Now we are going to compare the ELA Georgia Milestones achievement data between grade levels. So looking at each grade level, right here we have third grade students scoring proficient or higher and the percentage of fourth grade students scoring proficient or higher. You can see that it's very inconsistent. You would expect that the percentage of students scoring proficient or higher in each grade level to be consistent because they should all be performing the same way. However, our data shows that it's inconsistent. It also shows if you look at the 2015-2016 school year for third grade, you see that 36.3% of the students in third grade that year scored proficient or higher. Those students would then be fourth graders in the 2016-2017 school year. Well, you can see under the fourth grade chart for 2016-2017 that the percentage of students who scored proficient or higher decreased to the only 31.1%. So we are expecting that the percentages would increase, but we're actually seeing the opposite where we're seeing those percentages decrease. Now comparing the fourth grade students with the fifth grade students scoring proficient or higher on the Georgia Milestones, the ELA portion, you can see those inconsistencies again. Fourth grade, the percentage of students is very inconsistent, but fifth grade, the percentage of students is actually decreasing. You can see a downward slope, and so that's showing us that it's decreasing. Looking at the fourth grade students for the 2015-2016 school year, 27.1% of the students in that school year scored proficient or higher on the ELA Georgia Milestones. So those would be, in fifth grade, they would be the 2016-2017 fifth grade students. We should see an increase, seeing more students scoring proficient or higher. However, we are seeing the opposite, again, where we're seeing less students at 24% scoring proficient or higher. Now we are looking at our reading inventory, or RI achievement data. Our reading inventory data is showing positive trends. The Lexile levels are increasing over the past school year. We see third grade's Lexile average being a 388, and they increased that to a 532. Fourth grade starting Lexile level in August was a 500, and it increased to 660 in May. And then in fifth grade, the Lexile average was 676, but in May, the Lexile average was 788. So we're seeing positive trends. The only area of concern that we might have is that these are especially in fourth and fifth grade, they're not on the grade level band for Lexile levels, but we are seeing increases, which is great. So now let's discuss the data that we looked at. What did you notice about our reading inventory scores over the past school year? How do our percentages of students at or above proficient on the mathematics portion of the Georgia Milestone compare to the district and state? How do our percentages of students at or above proficient on the ELA portion of the Georgia Milestone compare to the district or state? What trends on the ELA portion of the Georgia Milestones did you notice amongst each grade level? Here are some strengths and weaknesses that I've noticed from the data. Strengths. Our percentage of students who scored proficient or higher on the mathematics portion of the Georgia Milestone is comparable to the district and state. Our RI scores over the past year show a positive trend. Yay! Our weaknesses. Our percentage of students who scored proficient or higher on the ELA portion of the Georgia Milestone is drastically different from this district and state. Our percentage of students who scored proficient or higher on the ELA portion has declined over the past 3 years. All grade levels show major growth on the RI, but fourth and fifth grade average Lexile levels are well below grade level. Next steps. How can we as a school work towards improving our school? Well, first I want to dive into ELA data in each grade level to find any trends and identify any areas of improvement in our instruction. I want to look specifically into writing formative data to see if it is weaker than reading data. The milestone is split into a writing section and a reading section. We see that our reading scores are improving based off of the RI, but we have no data on our writing to see if it's improving or if it's decreasing. So I want to look specifically at writing to see if that's an area of weakness for us. Then I want to look into ELA professional development classes for representatives from each grade level to attend. Now some questions for you. After looking at all this data, what areas do you feel like our school needs the most improvement in? In order to be the most successful we can be as a school, what are some things we should look into to help improve our school? I want to thank you for allowing me to present our data overview today, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know and follow up with me. Once again, thank you.